Hey everyone, Paul at ISM. Welcome to part 1 of our Fujimi 124 Mercedes SLS AMG GT3 video build. So I'm going to build this as part of our Le Mans GT group build that's ongoing at the minute. All the details for that can be found in the GB Facebook page, link down below in the description. Any Le Mans GT car can enter. You've got about 3 months to build it, so plenty of time if you pull your finger out and get started. So I built this kit before. It's a great kit, built in a lovely scheme. This one, we can find the picture, and it went together, no problems whatsoever. So this was a good choice. I wanted to build another one for a while. I've got a few of them in the stash. I've still got another 4 in the stash, so plenty there to keep me entertained. And I've got a few aftermarket schemes for them as well. So I've chose a Vietti one, which you're going to see in a second. You're going to have a very quick look through the box, have a look at the decals, the paint we've got. We'll have a chat about the build very quickly before we get started. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. Right then, a new kit. So I guess it'd be rude not to have a look what we got in the box. So I've built one of these before. Great kit, no real issues whatsoever. I've got a few of them in the stash, and I thought it'd be a great entry to our Le Mans / GT build. I've got these Racing 43 decals for the Vietti, I'm assuming I'm saying that right, Russian racing team. We've got the Zero Paints colour match colour for it, which was test sprayed. It looks absolutely spot on to me. Sprayed with no problems at all, just ultra thin coats. And yeah, went down pretty well to be fair. The kits themselves are pretty good to be honest. You get a mask set in there, a decent amount of photo etch in there. You get a few kit decals as you can see because the kit is completely unmarked really. Out of the box, and as we can see, nice clean body shell, only a couple of very light seams to clean up on this. Really is a nice clean body. We've got a few parts to glue in place, but overall clean up of this body, nice and simple. Glass parts, pretty good as well, pretty nice and clean and clear, as you can see. Not a huge amount to the kit, quite a simple build. It's a curbside. Obviously it's got the flat chassis, so there's no real detail underneath. So hopefully it should be a nice quick build. I'm hoping to get this turned around by the end of the month so we can crack on with that F15. So like I say, you're going to see a plane hopefully built and finished in the near future. And this is what's going to take me up to it as well. Like I've explained, we do have the bike on the go. We'll come back to that after this. I just fancy building a quick car. In the instructions are like an amendment for the photo etch. So quite a detailed photo etch set in there. Loads of grills and bits and seat belts and brake discs and what have you. So quite a nice addition to the kit. The kits aren't too expensive. They're around the £35–40 mark. And yeah, like I say, nice simple kit, goes together, drama free, and looks absolutely fantastic, well built. Cockpit tub, interior, all as one. Pretty bland seats, but I guess that's what the real car's like. Roll cage, steering wheel. The front grille is there at the top right, as you can see, which is going to cause not an issue, but a different way we're going to have to paint it by leaving the front bumper off. The rest of the body parts are in this sprue, so we've got some side skirts, we've got the front bumper, we've got some pods for the side as well. On this sprue, we've got the spoiler, end plates, which you're going to replace with photo etch as well as headlights, spoiler supports, etc, etc. No issues with the kit at all, it's really well moulded. There's our hubs and calipers, and our discs as well, which obviously we're going to put photo etch on, and our chrome light lenses for the back. We've got our under tray here as well, all the wheel arches, some steering components and subframes, etc. Like I say, really simple kit, shouldn't really cause any trouble at all. Our wheels are here now, really well finished out the box. We will be stripping these and painting them. They are really well finished out the box. Slick tyres, poly caps, and of course some other clear parts as well for light lenses. So not a bad kit, pretty well equipped, not too expensive. We've got a nice decal scheme and some paint for it too. So first off, we've got some body parts to glue in place. So we've got these little intakes at the top. They're a little bit tricky to get in. They are handed, so make sure you get them around the right way, like so. And just run a little quick bead of Tamiya Extra Thin along the edge, and that'll glue it in place. Make sure you get them on through the actual part. You're going to get all over your fingers. Leave a big, nasty, smudgy fingerprint on the plastic that you'll have to spend quite some time getting rid of. Repeat that from the other side as well. Nice and simple, really. Just be don't be over generous with the extra thin. Just put enough on there to get the glue in its place and get the part glued down. And then the front bumper. So this needs to be put on separately. With this, there's no real cleanup of the kit because there's no seam lines. I'm assuming they slide mold these bodies, which is a different molding process than normal. So that results in getting no seam lines, really. The holes for the front mount are a little bit too tight. I had the bumper on. It was a pig to get on and off, and obviously we need to get this on and off. So widen them a touch with a slightly wider drill bit. Much better fit now, and the bonnet fits the bumper fits absolutely perfect to the bonnet. No real issues. Now there is a grill to go behind this and some mesh and what have you. So we're going to leave it separate and paint it as a separate part and glue it on later. We've got some side pods here. These are quite tricky to make, so cut off the handed parts first, get them together, get some extra thin in it. It might need a bit of persuasion in here and there to get some of the parts to meet, but thankfully they're on the inside of the car, so cosmetically on the exterior, you don't need to be too careful. Just make sure the parts inside are well glued and there's no visible massive seams showing. Again, this part on top, not the best fit, does fit in place, might need a little bit of manipulation. And then the side skirts themselves, again, I've opened up the holes just to allow the parts to fit a little bit easier. And I have noticed that even though it's lined up properly, the panel line gap at the back is a little bit bigger than the front. So the way I rectified that was when we all glued in place, just give it a little push up and a little bit more extra thin. But as you'll see later on, I'm going to put a little bit of filler in there anyway, and that'll combat that problem itself. So get all lined up, quick run of Tamiya Extra Thin. This is my Extra Thin EMA Plasti Weld mix, a little bit hotter glue, it takes a bit longer to dry. Get it all in place. So I focused on getting the bottom part in, then the front and rear part here on these panel lines. Don't press too hard, you don't want any molten plastic coming out because it's just cleanup you need to do later. We need to leave these panel lines in place. But as I say, a bit of a wider one at the back, but we'll fix that a little bit later with some putty. Repeat this for the other side, really simple to do. Quite a quick kit to build together. Probably just as quick as sanding down the seams, but with a little bit more interest in doing it, not as monotonous or boring. And once you're happy, run a line of clear glue inside, and then we get these side pods in place as well. Again, these are handed, they only fit one way, there's locating points for them. Make sure they are pushed up on the exterior. Again, they form a panel line, so quite important that they are lined up properly. And just give them a good glue in place. Might need a little bit of persuasion here, don't drop it like I nearly did there. And then on the back, we've got a couple of intakes, ducts, whatever you want to call them. Quack, quack, not that kind of duct. Again, so just applied a little bit of CA, I keep calling it CA glue. Tamiya Extra Thin in place. Push the part we need it. Again, the back part of it forms a panel line, so don't destroy that by pressing too hard. And we can repeat that to the other side and glue it in place as well. So like I say, quite simple build up of the body. No worse than cleaning all the seam lines up. Just as long as you're careful, you won't have any extra cleanup to do. And then once you've got the side panels on, these are quite awkward to do. They locate in quite positively, but you've got to be very careful getting them in the right place and not getting glue everywhere. So I got all lined up, held the back in place, gave a little bit of a squeeze to get it in, and then work my way along. There's locating points underneath for each part, and just glued it in place as I went, gluing it all the way to the front. Quite simple, really. Just a case of being careful. More worried about getting glue on my fingers and putting it on the bodywork. And then once you're happy, run a quick bead of glue along the top of each one, and let it dry. So a little bit of manipulation to get it in place. Once you've done the other side, put it to one side, let it all set, and you're good to carry on. So just a bit of careful building needed on this. It's not real technical at all, quite simple really. It's been left to dry for a few hours. We're in here now with a 240 sponge. I'm just going to rough up all the body, remove all those glue marks from where we're glued, get rid of any fingerprints, just go around and basically matte flat all the body. So the original body with a high shine, we're going to flat it all with this sanding sponge, and that way we'll get a nice key for paint later on. Same on the front bumper as well. Just go around, bit of careful cleanup, and it will give you a much better surface to prime on. It will put micro scratches in the finish. That allows the primer to get more of a grab. And trust me, it's a step well worth doing. So some PE parts on this. These two parts we need now. These are the side spoiler supports. These are painted in the same green colour as the car, so they need to be primed in white as well. So we'll cut them off with Zoron PE shears. I'm just going to clean up the fret points with our Tamiya PE diamond file until we're happy. And that's it. And they can all be primed together. Quick test fit on the spoiler itself. You kind of have to use a bit of guesswork to get this mounted in place properly. But I'm just checking to make sure I've got the right way round and what have you. And yeah, we're all looking good there. Wing mirrors, quite a nasty seam on the wing mirrors. I've kept them mounted to the sprue. The sprue points where they cut off are perfect. It's right where it's going to attach to the body. So this way it makes painting them and decaling them and clearing them later a lot easier to do. But there's a couple of nasty seams on there. Make sure you get rid of these because they'll be very prominent on the car later on. Once we're done, we can go over our toothbrush, Mickey Mouse or toothbrush My Little Boys. Probably had this for about 4 or 5 years now because he hasn't had this toothbrush for a long time. And we're going for all the panel lines and getting any bits of sanding dust out of it just to make sure we've got a nice clean base. We're mounted our Tamiya stand. We've got some UMP airbrush cleaner on a clean piece of tissue, or actually kitchen roll, kitchen paper, whatever you call it. I'm going to go over and degrease all the body. And again, this will get rid of any fingerprints, any dust, any residue left on the body, and will just give us the perfect surface to prime on. Preparation is key. I cannot stress this enough. I see so many paint jobs ruined because people have rushed and not prepared the surface, or they've rushed the primer, or they've rushed how fast they've painted. Are you in that much of a rush to ruin your model? No. Leave time between paint jobs. If you're using lacquers, leave it at least 6 to 8 hours. If you're using acrylics, leave it overnight. Enamels, you have to leave it for days. Preparation and patience is key. Now, back to this panel line. Like I say, it was a little bit more pronounced than the others. So I have infilled it with Tamiya Extra Thin. I put a little bit of Vallejo putty in there, the water-based putty. We've put some in. We're wiping it off with a nice moist cotton bud that I definitely didn't lick. And that way it just fills it in a little bit more, makes it look a bit less pronounced. Repeat that for both sides. And then left overnight. We're here the next day to get some primer down. So using Tamiya white surface primer, thinned about 60% with Tamiya lacquer thinner with retarder, 0.35 apex, 18 psi. I'm really going to put down 2, 3, more than likely 3 light coat to this. First couple of coats will be quite light. The third one will be a little bit wetter. This paint does like to go on a little bit wetter, and the final coat is it's essential to get it on wet. It's a self-leveling properties of the paint, and it's just how it works. Now we've got lots of angles and recesses to get on this, so take your time going round. Make sure you get in every little nook and cranny, every angle. You've got all the grills, you've got the vent at the front, you've got the vent at the back, there's loads of bits at the side. So just make sure you get all the angles. Again, no rush, just take your time, build it up. This primer is very, very forgiving. All the lacquer paints are, as long as you follow the procedure for each type of paint. And again, PE, primed in exactly the same way, just a couple of coats, light coats. Just build it up nice and slow, and the front bumper exactly the same. As always, be careful on smaller parts. They do flood with paint a lot easier than the bigger ones. So it's so much easier to put too much paint down, especially on things like the wing mirrors. So just put less down than you actually think. You don't need a lot of paint. Like I say, 3 coats all round. Let it dry overnight, and then come back the next day and flat it ready for some paint. So we've got a Tamiya sanding sponge now, 3000 grit, well worn, just perfect for doing this. We're going to go around and lightly scuff all the body to get any imperfections off the primer, and that way we're ready for painting. And again, go around with our toothbrush and get any dust out. We won't go around with the Airbrush Cleaning now because it'll have detrimental problems with the paint. And again, the next day, we're in the spray booth, and we've got our, and they said Vallejo, we've got our zero paints. We're shaking the hell out of the bottle. You've got to be careful with these bottles. They can be a bit temperamental. I've seen a few smash with people shaking them. We give it a good stir up. We've got a clean pipette. We've strained the paint as well, as you'll see in a second. I actually did forget at the beginning, but we did it here now. So the paint's been strained to get any nasties that may be in there out there. It's an older bottle, and I didn't originally buy this bottle, so you never know what's happened to it, do you? I'm just going to put down 7, 8 light coats. Probably took me about 2 hours painting this. I sped this up just to show it, but this is different stages of the paint over about probably an hour and a half, to be honest. I probably leave 10 minutes between each coat. We did about 8 coats, so what's that? It's probably about right, isn't it? An hour and a half, 2 hours. Because again, no rush, just take your time. This paint has proven troublesome in the past, but I will say the newer paints have been very good. This is an older paint. Like I say, I didn't buy this. I bought this off somebody else, so I don't know the history, where it was from, how old it is, but no real problems at all. We're on about coat, I would say 3 here by now. And I'm alternating between up and down passes and side to side, just to make sure we get all those recesses. Again, we're on probably coat, I don't know, 6 by now. And just going around, nice thin, light coats, misting it on. The worst thing you do is put this on wet, because it will react and it can craze right down to the plastic and ruin all your hard work. So thin, light coats are the key with this. And touch wood, I've not really had any problems for quite some time with it. So with all the coats done to that, we need to paint the wing mirrors in white. So we've got some LP2, thinned with a little bit of Tamiya lacquer thinner with retarder. I'm just going to put down a couple of light coats on that. And there we go. There's our body. Now, the camera does kind of white out the green a little bit, the fluorescent green of the car. But there we are, all painted. It took a while to do. Dedication is key. Patience is key. And the surface prep shows off here, because we've got a nice, clean, painted body, as well as the bumper, the spoiler sides, and our wing mirrors too. Now, the actual spoiler itself, we're going to paint in Mr. Servicer 1500 Black. Again, thinned with Mr. Hobby Level and Thinner, about 60%, 0.3 apex, 18 psi, couple light coats down. Priming it, we're going to put a carbon decal over this, but it makes life easier. The Mr. Service is a little bit more grippy than the plastic, so it just helps with the decal. So it's the next day now, all the paint's dried. We're going to do some decaling now. We've got some Scale Motorsport. I've gone with 12th scale carbon weave. Now, I've gone 12 for a reason. The 24th, you can barely see the carbon. So I've gone up in scale so that you can see it. It is over scale, but that way you can see it, and you haven't kind of wasted your time doing it, because the 24th is very subtle and it's quite hard to see. So we cut a piece to size here, enough to go underneath. It'll overlap underneath, not a problem at all. And we're going to get it laid down. So no microset. We're having troubles with microset lately. We're just going to use straight UMP decal solution, start with the normal to get it in place. We'll apply a bit of heat, and then we'll hit it with the strong later on, and again a little bit of heat to get it fully in place. So going to focus on getting the top part on first, get this all straight, and then we'll fold the edges over, get one edge down, and then put the other one over to meet it later on. So again, patience, just take your time. You know, don't worry if you mess it up. As long as you've got more carbon, you can start again. So it's not the end of the world. Once you've used this stuff a few times, you'll know how far you can push it. And it does take quite a bit of abuse, and it will take quite a bit of manipulation. So as you can see, we've got it down there now roughly. I've got it all down with the normal UMP decal solution. And now I'm going to focus on the back. So it's folded over a little bit on the back. A little bit of work with the tweezers and the brush. We'll get this folded back over, and it'll look absolutely perfect again. And there we go. Once we're happy, we get a bit of heat on it using our heat gun. Out of focus. Do apologise. It doesn't like this thing going close. I'm zoomed a little bit more than normal, so let me know if that's any better. I have noticed the colours are a bit weird. The white balance seems to be a bit haywire. So it's something I'm going to test through the week. Obviously, it's a new camera. All you people out there who donated to GoFundMe helped to buy this, and it's a massive improvement over the old one. But I've just found the white balance going a little bit haywire, so I'm going to try a few different settings through the week, and hopefully that'll improve it. And there we go. So now we hit it with the extra strong. We dried it off again. We'll give it a final buzz over with the heat gun, just to get any moisture out of there, get it all folded down. You can see a couple of ejector pin marks through the spoiler. You can't see them by naked eye. It doesn't show. It's only on camera that it's showing, which is really weird. Make sure all the edges are fully pressed down, because this is where it'll lift up, and we don't want that at all. But no problems here. Just quite tricky to hold, because you're trying to decal both sides, and if you touch it, you wreck it. So it's a bit of a fiddly juggling act to do this, but again, it's worth doing. Adds a bit of detail to the model. And then finally, we're just going to add a little bit of strong, just let it sit for a little bit, a minute or two, and then we'll wipe all the excess off, and that'll be us done. So quite simple, really. We've got a nice yellow decal to go on this, the same colour as the car. So, you know, it will add a bit of difference to it. This will be left matte. I'm going to leave the center part of the spoiler in the burr carbon. I might semi-gloss it, but the side plates of the spoiler and the rest of the car will be 2K cleared. And yeah, there we go. Final little bit of application. I think I might have hit it here with a little bit of extra strong on the edges just to get it fully down. Anywhere I saw any little bubbles. Oh, there we go. So we've got a lot of decals to go down. I'm going to pop the front bumper on because we've got an awkward tyre tread decal to go on each side. I'm just going to concentrate on getting these down first. So we've got our heat gun. We've got our coffee warmer. I think I've got a picture. Here you go. We've got a coffee warmer there, heating our water up. We've got our UMP decal solutions. We've got our water pens, which are my preferred brushes. We've got our Tamiya decal tweezers. We've got our Tamiya craft knife. Some nice fresh cotton buds. I'm just going to take our time. A couple of enjoyable hours. I love decal. Always find it fun to do. On this front bumper, I've got to apply this big long decal. Let it dry. Let it all set. And then cut it in the bumper. Hit it with decal solutions again. And we get the bumper back off for 2K later on. As you can see, this decal goes right up over the side. Hence why I put the bumper back on for now. A minute, or well, even a minute, 30 seconds in the warm water gets the decals off really fast. Well worth using warm water if you've never done it before. If you go on Amazon, if you go to my list of products in the link in the description, there's a link to one of the USB or mains powered I've found are better in the coffee warmers. It'll heat water up and it makes decal application so much easier because not only does the decal come off the backing paper quicker, I also find it's more manageable and easier to manipulate. It seems to set a little bit easier. So in my opinion, the warm water is definitely one of those must-haves. So once we get it in place, get it all lined up where we want it, referring to the instructions, the decal call out, we can then hit it with some decal solution, get it set in place after we get all the moisture out. So this is a standard procedure for every decal. We're going to whiz through in a minute a little montage, but it's basically warm water, get the decal off, get it in place, make sure it's in the right location, get all the moisture out from underneath with a clean cotton bud, and hit it with the normal and then the strong decal solutions to get it set in place. If you need to cut anywhere like we need to do on this, don't rush it. Let the decal set for an hour or so. You'll find if you do it while the decal's still soft, you'll rip the decal. So let the decal fully secure, get a brand new knife in your blade and just gently trim and then hit it with more decal solutions to get it in place. And like I say, there we go. Once you've got the moisture out underneath the decal, we can hit it with the decal solutions and let them do their work. We will occasionally use a bit of heat, but here we go. Let's jump in and get all the decals done. Right, with the decals done, again, they've dried for at least 6 hours now, fully set in place. We've got some Tamiya grey panel line wash. We're going to mix it with some black to get a nice dark grey colour. Black would be too stark a contrast on this, so going for a nice dark grey colour. So just a couple of drops, probably 4 of the black in there. Give it a good mix up. We get a nice dark grey colour. And it's a case of touching all the panel lines where we want the wash to go. The capillary action will carry it round, and we can leave that for half an hour, 40 minutes, and then wipe it off with some clean cotton buds and kitchen paper. So quite an easy step to do. I think it adds a big difference to the car. Black would be too much. People are going to say the dark grey is a bit much, but you want it to show because the real car shut lines show. Maybe not as dark as this, but they do show on a real car if you look. And I think visually it adds a bit of interest to the model, makes it look a little bit less sterile, brings a bit of life into it. So, you know, things can be overdone. Like we've overdone the scale of the carbon. It's one of those things, a personal preference. You can pick whatever colour wash you want or not add it at all. But trust me, it does add a visual difference. It makes everything look a bit more interesting and just adds a little bit more depth to it. So like I say, any panel line, any raised area that will hold it, I'll pop it in and leave for half an hour. Get a cotton bud, got a little bit of Santador, odorless mineral spirits there. It's a case of going around and just gently wiping it off and then using a bit of kitchen paper to be more thorough and get the rest of it off as well. Don't forget your decals are completely unprotected at this point. I've never had an issue with the wash affecting properly set decals. If you've cut the panel lines and you set them all properly, you have no issues whatsoever. But just bear it in mind, rubbing over with tissue, that the decals are still vulnerable to your ham-fistedness, so we say, if you're not careful enough. But simple to do. I think it adds a lot of detail. I think it adds a bit more depth, as you can see here. It's not that dark. The lighter dark grey colour is better than using solely black. It's a personal choice, and for me, I'll always do it. So there we go, there's the body done. These are all the parts mounted, ready for 2K clear. We're going to again wait overnight till the next morning. And here we go, we're in the spray booth. Got my Scott respirator. We are going to wet the surface in my brand new spray booth. Still got the same extractor, my Bench Vent A300. We've got a completely new actual booth itself, which is a lot cleaner, a lot more sterile, and a lot better lit as well, I think. So yeah, we're just going to do a quick spray over with the water. That'll stop anything that lands, take them back off again. And we're going to mix 6ml of 2K to 2ml of hardener and 2ml of thinner. Now we do spill a bit, and we have to mix a bit more later on. This did use quite a bit more than I thought it would. I'm at the end of a bottle there, so I'm going to have to go get a new set in a minute. And then 2ml of the hardener, which again, we're coming to the end of the bottle, as I screwed up the amount there, so we're going to grab it again. If you get any air in the pipette, redo, because it will affect the amount that you're putting in there. So just take your time. And there we go, pop that in. We use that pipette to stir that, and only for that, and then throw it away. Pop the lid back on all your bottles before you start stirring things, so you don't knock anything on the floor. Give it a good mix up, like so. Getting the excess out of the pipette, because I guarantee it will hold a little bit. And sometimes that little tiny bit of 2K can be vital. So it's worth saving every little bit. So get every little bit out of it, and that 2K is done forever. You could clean now, hang it on the washing line, looking at you, Alan. But probably best just throw it away, don't use it again, because if you contaminate any of the thinner, they're useless, and the clear, because it does affect each one. With the thinner now, we've got 2ml of thinner. We are going to add a little bit more thinner at the end when I have to remix a little bit. We're going to put on an extra 0.5 milliliter, so it's like adding another quarter again. I think that's the right maths. Just to get a little bit thinner and see if it makes a difference, and I think it did at the end. And as always, we've got some 190 micron paint strainers. These are new ones. Basically, they're like hats. They're a bit big, to be honest. And this is how we spill some of the paint later on. Sped up the footage, because otherwise we'll be here all day. Tamiya anti-static brush, get rid of as much dust as we can. We've got the window opener cracked, the boot's been on for a good 10 minutes. All my skin is covered. We're double gloved on the left hand, single gloved on the right. I've got my respirator on. And here we go. So the first coat down, as always, is a tack coat. So it's not a wet coat at all. It's just a very slight semi-gloss finish all the way around. So again, we need to pay attention to all those nooks and crannies, angles, vents, recesses, everything, to make sure we get everywhere done properly. Like I say, the idea of this coat is it's our tack coat. So this is solely for the next wet coats to stop it running. So this will get really tacky in the 10 minutes flash off time that we leave. When we come down to put a wet coat in, because it's so sticky, it should help prevent runs. And that's the full idea of it. Exactly the same as full-size cars. So we just go around, you can see we get a very slight semi-gloss finish all over the body. And then that is put aside under our plastic case, out of the way. As you can see, we've got our lid on our paint cup. We've learned our mistakes here. And yeah, once you're happy, cover it up. There we go. Out of the way, nice and safe. Then we can move on to the the spoiler side supports, the wing mirrors. And again, because they're smaller parts, be careful. Very, very easy to flood them. So just really take your time here. And then the front bumper again. Lots of angles on this as well. Just make sure you get them all. We're not trying to hose the paint on here. We're just getting down that semi-glossish looking tack coat. And then once we're done, put it back under the cover. Leave for 10 minutes. Let it off gas a little bit. Flash off. Get nice and tacky. And we come back for coat number 2. Now coat number 2, we'll put a bit more 2K down. So we're trying to get a gloss finish without it being perfect. So a perfect gloss finish in 2K will be flawless. No ripples, no orange peel, nothing. So we're trying to get that, but not on this coat. This is our first wet coat. So we're going to go around all the angles, recesses, and get a nice gloss coat down without it being perfect. Again, we can then pop that back under the cover for 10 minutes, allow it to off gas again, tack up again, and then we come with our final wet coat. That'll be the wet coat that self-levels and gives us our beautiful gloss coat. Now, at this stage, anything lands in there, you can get it while you can. Because it self-levels, it'll cover itself back up, and you're still spraying the clear over the top, so that's no problem either. And make sure you get all those wheel arches, all the recesses. Like I say, we're not going for a full gloss coat. We're trying to get a gloss coat down, but don't worry if there's a little bit of orange peel. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want, because the last final coat will get a hold of all that. So take your time. As always, we've got the 0.2 apex. We're at 24 psi. We've got the pressure a little bit for this. Sterilely clean airbrush. This airbrush is only used for 2K. Nothing else. It's cleaned, left in lacquer to soak for a couple of hours, fully cleaned, and it's in the drawer, only used for 2K. That way there's no contamination, no issues, nothing at all. Like I say, on these smaller parts, just be careful. It's very easy to flood them. And once you're happy, pop them back in there. Another 10 minutes flies by, and this is our final coat. So at the end of this coat, this should be perfect. It should be orange peel free. It should look like a mirror. It should be perfect gloss, because how this looks now is near enough how it will dry. So this is what you want. You want a nice high shine, flawless, fault-free clear. And that's absolutely perfect for our means and what we're trying to do. So what I tend to do is go around with a decent coat, putting it down, and then come back, have a look around it again. Does it need a little bit more? It does. Go over it again with a quick light coat. And that's what I've been doing lately. That's the benefit of the 0.2mm needle. Gives you a little bit more control. Doesn't put as heavy a coat down in one go. And every paint job I've done so far has been an improvement. It really has. This looks absolutely beautiful when it's done. And hopefully, we get a few little dust spots here and there. Nothing really drastic. We did get a slight run on the back because I have thinned it. You can see the remnants of the spilt 2K on the bench. So I put another 0.5mm of thinner in just before we started this last coat. It's probably caught me out a little bit by putting a little bit too much clear coat down. And we've got a little tiny run, only a little tiny one that will polish out at the end. But it just shows you when you change things, you've still got to be careful. But adding a little bit of thinner and using a 0.2mm needle definitely makes a difference and gives a nicer finish. Now, I'm mounting this in its stand to go with its cover. Just having a little look for any imperfections. It's all looking absolutely spot on. And what I've done here, we've got the wing mirrors, the spoiler support, and the bumper all mounted in the holes of the Tamiya stand. That way everything's together, nothing's going to fall off or get in the way. And they're all under this cover, nice and safe from any dust or any contaminants, and nothing's going to fall off and get ruined, basically. This is a very important stage. You've got an hour here before it's dust dry. You've got about 24 hours before it's touch dry. And I reckon 48 to 72 hours before it's fully cured. To be honest, I leave it as long as I possibly can before I touch it. This will literally stay under that cover for the next 5 to 7 days easily. So we've got vents in the side of the cover, So I've drilled holes and put some Tamiya mesh over, so there's circulation. And for the first few hours, I propped the front up just a little bit to make sure it could off gas properly. And there we go. This is after about 50 minutes. We just get out to have a quick look. Absolutely beautiful 2K clear. The colour is absolutely popping now. Other than that run and a few spots of dust, were absolutely perfect. It's going to look absolutely beautiful this when it's finished. So really happy how that's gone. A few specks of dust, which we always get. That's by the by. It's always going to happen. And as you see, confident with the stand, it doesn't fall out. You can walk around, you can take it places, and it all stays put. It's what I love about making my own things like this. I know it's safe. I can move it around the room. Space is premium for me, so I know I could tip her upside down like that just to have a look, and it's always going to be supported and absolutely fine. So worthwhile doing things like this. That way you know everything's safe. But as you see, look at that clear coat. Absolutely beautiful. If I knock the light off, you can see my back door. Very, very nice clear coat. The 0.2mm needle is working absolutely fantastic. Like I say, bar that little run on the rear part of that bumper, looks perfect. I've got some pictures as well. You can see the vast difference under different lights. So this is kind of how it looks to my eye. It's a very luminescent yellow colour. Absolutely beautiful. The run is on that right-hand side rear bumper, just on the top of it. And yeah, what a beautiful colour. Lovely clear coat. Absolutely made up of this. And if I turn the light off and using the natural light from the window, you can see the tone of the window changes. Now, if you look through the window, you can see the rain spots on the window as well. That's not an imperfection in the clear. But yeah, beautiful. Very happy with the paint job, the decals, and the 2K on this. I think it's come out absolutely fantastic. And this is going to be a pretty car when it's done. This is going to look absolutely fantastic. Right, so there we go. Standard part 1. We got all the bodywork done, prime, painted, 2K, decals, a lot. All ready for part 2, in which we can get going with our running gear and maybe even the interior as well. They're quite a simple kit, these, so hopefully we can crack on. I would like this built by the beginning of March and finished. So I've got, what, 11 days, 10 days? 8 days I have. God, it's February, isn't it? So not long to go at all, because I want to start this F15 for Gary Pashley's memorial build. So looking forward to that one, and hopefully you'll see a nice 72 scale F15 built on the channel. So there we are. So yeah, 2K came out great. The 0.2mm needle, thin in the 2K, that little bit extra, I think definitely helped a little bit. And this is probably something I'll do in the future. One little run on the rear bumper, and that's just because the 2K is a little bit thinner and caught me out. So we'll bear that in mind next time. Have to remember when the 2K is thinner, you have got more possibilities of it running. So yes. But come out really well. A few spots of dust, that little run, and that's it. Beautiful looking scheme of a wonderful looking car in a very striking green, luminous yellow colour. So looking forward to getting this one done. Like I say, part 2 will be up soon. I'm going to work through this and get this done. The bike's going to get left just for now. I want this finished, and we go back to the bike, and then we start the F15 and what have you. Yes, so part 2 of this should be out pretty soon. Like I said, we'll focus on the running gear and the interior, because I don't think there's much to do on them, to be honest. And we'll get those together. So there we go. Thanks for watching today. As always, you want to support the channel, there's a Patreon me, a PayPal me, and a Buy Me a Coffee link in the description down below. Make sure to check out International Scale Model Facebook page and forum, umpretail.com, my Paul ISM Scale Models page, the Live at the Bench page, the Off Air Hangout group, and the group build page as well. All these are linked down below in the description, as well as my product list, which has got my Amazon shopfront in as well, with all the products I use in my videos. So if you've seen me using it today, you'll probably find it in that list down below. Alright, so there we go. Thanks for watching. Question for today is, let me have a little think. We did one the other week where we ruined something. So what is your, we're not going to go your favourite or proudest model. What was the proudest thing you've tried and succeeded on doing on a model? The first thing you did would be your first 2K paint job, first time using an airbrush, first time flocking. What was the first thing you tried on a model that was different to normal and that you were really impressed and thought, I'm going to do that forever? Something as simple as highlighting around the edges of your lights, you know, bare metal foil on the back lights, anything at all. Let me know what's the most useful thing you've learned to do and continue doing to this day. So there we are. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, click that thumbs up, hit the bell notification, and leave a comment. Love reading all your comments. That will spur me along in the videos, and I do read every single one. Might not reply to them all, but I do read every single one. So there we are. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everyone. I'm about to go live in about 5 minutes, so you might see us live in a minute. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.